Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
I didn't even know this, but this beer, I've had it down in Texas a few times, but it's actually made in McAlester, Oklahoma. So super excited that these guys are at Walmart because these are actually pretty decent if you like sour beers. But anyway, let's get down to the business. This alternator is off a GMC Jimmy, and this stud post is actually removable. So shout out to Metroplex Alternator and Starter for figuring out which alternator was going to work for my application. And if we don't get the clearance we need on this guy, we'll go ahead and install this alternator stud kit from ICT. And also huge shout out to Enjuku Racing. These guys actually had this kit for an S13, and it comes with an ISR braided line. But they actually called and verified with Excetti that it was going to work on my 1980 Datsun 280zx. Because if you look at the original one, it looks very, very similar. So that's why I was under the impression it would probably work for us. They actually threw in some stickers. So y'all are awesome. I appreciate y'all. This is the GM throwout bearing that goes inside the bell housing. So I took this guy to Summit. We found out that I need these adapters. So there you go. All we need to do is punch out that roll pin, pop in this adapter, and we should be good to go. So we can go from Nissan to GM. We're using a 3/32 punch, and we're going from the back side to get this roll pin out. And I'm probably going to take and line it up where this roll pin meets. So right on the crack of it. Now we're going to switch to a 1/8 inch punch, because that one was getting stuck inside the roll pin, so hopefully this one will work. There we go. So there's our roll pin. Alright guys, make sure you hang on to your roll pin. Don't use an 1/8 inch punch because it did get stuck in that hole. So we had to use another punch to get it out. But now this line should be free, so we should just be able to, just pop it out like that. And then make sure that that O-ring comes out with it. Yep, it did. So make sure that comes out with it. We could technically reuse the seal because, this throwout bearing's brand new. But since we got a brand new one right here, we'll go ahead and use this. So we'll just get some lube on it so it gets a nice good seal and doesn't get stuck. And it's just going to go on this first flange right here. And then we'll just press this in. It'll kind of click. And then we just need to reinstall this roll pin. Just like that. So now we can take this braided line from ISR. We'll install this guy into the transmission when we take the engine and transmission out, when we bolt in the flywheel and all that jazz and the clutch. Leave this hanging out of the transmission, and then we'll just feed this line all the way up to this master cylinder. Okay, and this shift turret, it stated that it was for an NV 1500, 2500, or 3500 online, but it's really not fitting up that well. There's a gap in between, or where this mates into the transmission. Here, I'll just show you all. All right, so where this bolts up, so it'll be something like that. There's a gap in between the bottom of this and the flange on the transmission. So that's why we're gonna have to go ahead and make a spacer. I just designed this quickly on CAD. So we got all the dimensions here, and just to keep it simple, I think I'm gonna just cut this window on the interior like an octagon, just to make it a little easier to machine, because trying to make these hard lines, that's gonna be pretty hard, and especially trying to make these interior radiuses. So we'll just we'll keep it simple. Here's the material. I got it from Metal Supermarkets. It's a 1/2 inch thick, and let's get started. Bolt holes drilled, these drop through it. I did check with the shift turret, they all line up pretty decently. Now we just got to mark this interior window, drill out the holes, connect the dots, and then this part will be done. So I'm probably going to drill these corners And then what I'm thinking about doing is just hitting these top of the arch as well. So drilling all 12 holes and then taking a hacksaw and just trying to, you know, cut these, or maybe an angle grinder to get the bulk of it, and then using a hacksaw to, you know, round these off. And then we're just gonna use this washer, kind of eyeball, you know, what this radius is gonna look like. Oops. Let's put some oil on this guy. Okay, this is gonna get kind of sketchy, so safety glasses, of course. So I'm using a small cutting wheel so I can get in between here without cutting, you know, too much in to this side piece. So we're just gonna use this to kind of line up and get a solid cut started, and then we might have to flip it over and cut the backside. Look at all the aluminum. I also put on the, you know, the Hoonigan mask because all that aluminum shavings was like spraying all over the place. So shout out Hoonigan. Alright, so I had to drill a couple additional holes just so we could thread the blade through it. So now we're going to go ahead and hook up this guy, and we're just going to cut along this line right here. Alright guys, well, there she is. I cleaned up the interior the best I could. It's kind of rough, but it's not like you'll see that anyway after it's bolted in the car. So let's go ahead and get it in. Obviously we need to get a handle on this, but seems to be working. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed watching, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.